Hello and welcome back to Fickle Sports. We're back with another Fantasy Premier League show. And in case you guys have forgot, it's me and Gary. We're going head to head in this Fantasy League battle.
Yes, and we get to review our teams, and I'm sure you found it just as frustrating as us how badly our teams performed. But we'll look at the preview for next week and we'll give you some tips for the following game week 2. So let's get into Alex's team. What on earth happened to his team? So I'm gonna go on his team. Mike Dean's number 1 fan. Wow, okay, you might have a lot of enemies with that team name. Do you want to explain what's going on with your team? Go goalkeeper up.
Okay, so firstly I just want to say I was very let down by all London clubs. But let's start with the goalkeeper, Schmeichel. He kept a clean sheet in his first game back, he was the second highest scoring player for me, which that's trouble if your goalkeeper is your second highest scoring player. The almost impregnable defence last season of Gomez conceded 3 against Leeds. Alderweireld didn't play well at all really against Everton. And Tierney got a clean sheet against newly promoted Fulham.
Tierney, the boy. Does it hurt you? Does it hurt you when Arsenal players do well for you on your fantasy, or it's all right? Is that the only thing?
No. It's kind of
like a counterbalance.
It's the only. Yeah. Romeo, who I only bought in because he was one of the cheapest players, managed to score 2 points.
That's not bad. That's considering he's a defensive midfielder.
Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous that he managed to do that. And that is the same amount of points that Mount scored, Son scored, and Mane scored. But Mane's points were doubled because he was my captain. I really did go with the wrong side of the Liverpool attack. Up front, Fernandinho, who didn't play too badly, he got a few assist points for the penalty in which he managed to win. Ings, a Fantasy Premier League legend, wasn't so legendary for me. He didn't score any additional points other than minutes played. And Vardy, never in doubt, was it? He managed to get 2 goals, 2 penalties.
He always scores against West Brom. Don't know why. So he did. He gave you the goods.
And he was the only player for me that reached double digits. The bench, Saka, who was in my starting lineup, he didn't play at all for Arsenal, which is why Romeo came in. And it is worth mentioning for all you eagle-eyed fans out there, Chiellini was a new addition. Me and Gary have a rule where if a player is injured before the deadline and we have a transfer, we are allowed, if we get permission from the other player, to transfer him out. So I transferred out Luis for Chiellini.
You lucky boy. You got him in. Well, to be honest, David Luiz probably would have started and got 6 points anyway, actually. So I'm not too mad at that. So a below par performance, I'd say. The average points is 50 for this game week. So you ended up with 45 points, which is not bad. Not bad, I guess. So let's see what on earth my team got onto. I'm Emerick James, bitch. My team. I'd start with the goalkeeper, Matt Ryan. Yeah, he got a bit thumped by Chelsea. It wasn't a great day for Brighton, but I put him in there, sort of a long-term goalkeeper choice. I'm not going to overreact to one game. I wasn't expecting him to keep a clean sheet. And what was surprising, I got back 3. Trent Alexander-Arnold and Andrew Robertson. Yeah, they conceded 3. That was a surprise of the weekend to see Leeds so confident against champions Liverpool. And I only got Robertson with an assist, but looks like he got a yellow card as well. And Stevens for Sheffield United, they got a bit humbled by Wolves, so conceded 2. So it was not a good day for my defence. Though all in all, I picked up 7 points with goalkeeper and defence. That is pretty shocking considering my defence last season was like the main reason I won anything. And in midfield, Saka. It's impossible to really tell what Arteta's team is going to be, but he didn't get a shout in, so he blanked, and I didn't have anyone on my bench to come in and replace him. Aubameyang, Captain Marvel. Yeah, he got the goal. I was hoping for a bit more. What a goal that was. Just really rocketed it into the top right corner against Fulham, but got a yellow card too, so he was my captain. But Salah Salah, wow. I think I read a stat that his XG without penalties was like 0.5, something like that.
I wonder, right, who's more frustrated, me or you? I'm frustrated that I didn't include Salah over Mane, but you actually had Salah in your team and you just didn't captain him. So what's your frustration level? I wonder who's more upset.
Well,
here.
to be honest, yeah, I am. Captain choices, fans, are massive headache, and they can be the difference between 20 points or like 5. And yeah, hat trick. I didn't think I thought Leeds would provide a better defensive performance, so I didn't think they were going to score like crazy, but I was wrong. Hat trick for Salah, first hat trick of the season. And Son Heung-min, this is the problem. I feel like I'm always cursed with Tottenham players. I put them in, they do rubbish, and then when I transfer them out, they start doing well, which is doubly upsetting.
Stop putting them in then.
No, I'd rather keep them in so they do horribly.
What you're talking about is win-win.
No, I'll take the fantasy league hit just for the Arsenal fans. Up front, I had Ings, the fantasy league legend, as you say. Southampton played really well. They had 70% possession against this Crystal Palace team, and they just couldn't break through. Jordan Ayew couldn't get the goal. They had a couple of chances, but it was mainly Zaha who was the most dangerous man. And Mitrovic was on the bench. I bet so many fantasy league managers were so annoyed when they saw the lineup for Fulham. Because why are you putting on Mitrovic on the bench? I don't know what's going on. But so I ended up with 48 points, which is still 2 points below the average points of 50. Which is quite a disappointing performance.
Okay, that's enough, Gary. That's enough misery of Game Week 1. Let's move on to a new Game Week and get that positivity back. Now, just to remind everyone, the deadline is the 19th of September at 11 a.m. So that is this Saturday, 11 a.m. Get all your transfers in by then. Now, I'm going to go first with the changes I made for Game Week 2. The reason why is because I've already used my wildcard.
Yeah, you promised it. I want to look at this team.
I've gone in and I'm showing my team to Gary now. Okay.
Oh, wow! You went big on midfield. Okay, no defenders, no good defenders. I mean, no premium defenders, I'd say. Wow, you've totally neglected your goalkeeper and your defense. This is a very bold tactic. This is the type of tactic if it pays off. I feel it might pay off for a couple of game weeks, but in the long term, I don't know, man. You're going hard on these players. Aubameyang, yeah, makes sense. De Bruyne, yeah, the highest scoring midfielder last season. Fernandes, okay, yeah, can you continue his form? Podence, okay, not really going to start most games. El Naissance, okay, he's you have him there as a filler. Dominic Calvert-Lewin.
The final two were cheaper options.
Yeah, Dominic Calvert-Lewin I like at 7 million. It's quite a good snip. Firmino. The problem with Firmino, he doesn't score at home at Anfield for some reason. So that's like half of your games. Like that's half of the season gone in terms of points. Hopefully that he can. Well, I don't want him to start scoring. Martial's a good pick. Even though he was a midfielder last year and he's now a striker, so he won't get the bonus points for scoring.
Yes.
But...
All right, well, okay, let me give you a few explanations. One, as you can see, I've gone very cheap with the defence. But both Taylor, Justin and Lewis, they both had very good starts. And Mitchell, to be fair, they all had good starts to the season. They're all quite cheap. Mitchell was a surprise that he started, but he did. So I'm going to keep him there for now. But all those players, I think, if they start picking up clean sheets and they're all in teams where they should pick up a few clean sheets, their prices might bump up a little bit. So I might be able to use that later on. So cheap but good options, I hope.
You're saying there's two players in there that I assume you'll get clean sheets. That's Taylor and Justin. I don't see many clean sheets elsewhere.
Well, Steve Bruce didn't score a lot of... He didn't score any goals last season, but his team, they didn't score many goals last season, but they did okay defensively. The reason they stayed up is because of their defence. So I'm hoping that I'm not expecting a clean sheet every game, but I'm hoping every now and again a clean sheet. And Lewis being quite an attacking fullback, I'm hoping that he may get an assist here and there. As I say, they're cheap options to allow for my more expensive midfield. Aubameyang, De Bruyne and Fernandes, I think all three of them kind of pick themselves. Podence is a cheaper option. I think he's going to start more games than what maybe you think, but we'll see about that. That's a bit of a risk. And El Neni, he started for Arsenal. He's going to pick up a few points here and there, so he's good to have on the bench, which is where he's going to be for the majority of it. I think my strikers in time will chop and change quite a bit, depending on form, but at the moment I have gone with Calvert-Lewin, Firmino and Martial just because they have the easier fixtures. And lastly, I've got Pickford in goal. I know that's a bit of a risk, but it was a bit cheaper, and Everton have the easier fixtures going forward.
Okay, very risky, but you promised a wild card and you gave it. You definitely gave it. I think the listeners will can tell who's the riskier player out of us two.
Do you want to show me your team?
Yes. This is my team, and I am Mr. Super Conservative. Like, I believe in my players long term. Thing is, Alex doesn't believe in any of his players, so that's why he's a poor fantasy Premier League manager. I'm going with the legacy players: Alexander-Arnold, Robertson. Keep him in. Stevens, keep him in. They'll pick up clean sheets and assists. Don't you worry. I'm keeping my free transfer. I'm going to hopefully get 2 free transfers for next week so I can move them about. I'm not taking -4 hits. I'm just going to have to ride with these guys. Son, Ings, Ayew, Mitch, please. Any goals, I'll be super grateful. But that's still my team.
Jesus Christ, man. You have one shit performance, but you beat me in it, and you think you're a Alex Ferguson, don't you? Okay, so I assume your tactics there is you want to save up your free transfers. Maybe you've got an eye on the fixtures coming up past September. I'll keep an eye on your team to see what your tactics are. Let's cap this video off with a few tips. Gary, do you have any tips for this week?
I do. Look, with the Leeds performance against Liverpool, I think you could pick up a very cheap player, midfielder in Klitsch. He's a good goal threat, and he's going to play most games. James Rodriguez. We were talking about him last week a little bit, but that performance against Spurs, he looked awesome, and he's gonna probably take free kicks. He's gonna shoot a lot. He ended up with 3 shots and 5 key passes against Tottenham, so he's a dangerous one to look at 7.5 million. Son Heung-min, still the best player for Tottenham. He made 3 key passes, and he was probably the best player for Tottenham, so I think he's a good player. And one final one, Lamptey for Brighton. He looked super dangerous against Chelsea. He was twining up Alonso all over the place. He was nutmegging people and taking everyone on, but he got an assist in the end, passed it 5 yards, and the guy shot, and it was a goal. But I think those are the players that I've been looking at.
Yeah, my tips are more team-based. Now is the time to take out any West Ham players, unless you're going to have them as the 3rd place position on your bench.
He's a Tottenham fan, by the way.
Well, their run is horrific. They probably have the worst run from now. Yep. I actually piggyback on the back of what you said about Rodriguez, but I actually think Everton as a team played really well. They also have easier fixtures coming up, so if you do have a few spare transfers, I think looking at Everton players might be a cheaper and good option. And lastly, I would say for the Liverpool defenders, I know they conceded 3, but their XG was actually below 1. Essentially meaning that all the goals they conceded were pretty incredible goals, which they were. So I wouldn't lose hope of the Liverpool defenders based off this one game week.
That's why I have them in.
That's it for my tip.
That's why I have them in.
Oh. All right, Gary, my tip's not for you, but for the people on the video, all right?
So that's all for this week. I came out winners of Game Week 1. Let's see what on earth we can do next week. And the Game Week's probably going to be frustrating as usual. The rest of you Fantasy Premier League managers will know.
Yes, good luck everyone for your 2nd week of Fantasy Premier League. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe.
Let us know which team you prefer, my team or Alex's horrible team. Alright, see you later.